Welcome to the James Tayoro Show, guys. I'm going to be talking about a few stories today. The first story that I'm going to be talking to you guys about is the recent Conor McGregor court case. He was found guilty in the civil court, and we're going to run through those details. It's an interesting story. You're definitely going to want to hear about that, and you're definitely going to want to see the evidence, right? And the way that the media's spun this. And I think it's going to tell you all you need to know, and probably further just ruin the trust that you had with the media. And then over in the UK, there's been a petition, right, calling for a general election in the UK. People in the country are all already unhappy with the Labour Party, and so we're gonna, when we get to that story, I'm going to tell you how many people have signed this petition, right? But the initial petition, all it wanted is expecting 100,000 signatures, right? It's been 2 days, and it's now at 2,633,424 signatures. And when I go back to the story, we're going to see, how many signs that's got. It's probably going to go up a lot more. Just in the time that I'm talking to you, it's probably going to go up a hell of a lot more than that. But let's get into it. So, the Conor McGregor case. What I'm gonna do, right? I'm gonna read you a headline from the BBC. Okay, and this is what the news has been reporting, right? So, woman wins civil rape case against Conor McGregor. Then you got a picture of Conor looking guilty, and the report. Okay, so this is the 22nd of November 2024. I'm recording this on the 26th of November 2024. So, a woman who accused Conor McGregor of raping her has won her claim against him for damages in a civil case. The jury found that the Irish mixed martial arts fighter assaulted Nikita Hand in a Dublin hotel in December 2018. So 6 years ago. Almost 6 years ago. He's been ordered to pay her more than €248,000, which in Great British pounds is around 206,000 in damages. Speaking outside the court on Friday, Miss Hand said her story was a reminder that no matter how afraid you might be to speak up, you have a voice. In a post on X on Friday, which I'll read out to you in a sec, Conor McGregor said he would appeal the verdict and thanked all of his support worldwide. He's with his family now, focused on his future, ready to fight. Now, where should I begin? So, I'm going to read you I'm going to begin with Conor's statement, right? So, Conor, he put this out yesterday, right? He needed a few days to reflect, understandably. Obviously, his image has been somewhat smeared, depending on how many people, believe this and go along with this narrative that he is, as the BBC call it, a rapist. Now, we're going to get to that in a sec, but let me just read this. So, he posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, "People want to hear from me. I needed time. I know I made mistakes. 6 years ago, I should have never responded to her outreaches. I should have shut the party down. I should never have stepped out on the woman I love most in the world. That's on me. As much as I regret it, everything that happened that night was consensual, and all of the witnesses present swore to that under oath. I've instructed my legal team to appeal the decision. I can't go back, and I will move forward. I am beyond grateful to my family, friends, and supporters all over the world who have stayed by my side. That's it, no more. Getting back to the gym, the fight game awaits." So that's his statement, right? He's, which is reasonable, right? He's not going into too much detail about the case, although he's saying that everything that happened that night, 6 years ago, by the way, and we'll get to that issue, was all consensual, and all the witnesses present swore under oath that it was consensual, right? Obviously, this wasn't just the two of them. This was a party, right? And then his obviously legal team is going to appeal the decision, so I don't think he's going to be paying the money right now. But, look, he's moving forward, and he apologised for stepping out on his wife, which is which is fair, right? But I'm going to read you some details, right, about the actual case, okay? Because the BBC report doesn't have a lot in it. Surprise, surprise, BBC. And a lot of the news reports around the, at least for me in the UK, I don't know, in America, it might be a little different. In America, they might not be talking about this as much. But here are some details about the case, right? So this was a civil, and the headline in the BBC does say this, right? This is a civil court case, right? Which means this is not a criminal court. This isn't a criminal court. Conor McGregor, let's say he tries to appeal and it doesn't work. He will not have a criminal record, right? There's no jail time in consideration. None of that, right? This is a civil court. This is a financial situation, right? Now, the reason this is a civil court matter and not a criminal court matter, which is what you're probably thinking, right? If he's as they call it, a rapist, then shouldn't he be in prison, right? Well, the court, the criminal court did take this case, right? They had a look at it, they looked at all the evidence, and they threw the case out, right? They said there is no story here. This did not happen, right? So it's not like they went to court and he was found not guilty in criminal court. And think about how weak a case has to be for the criminal court to not even take it. Right? I mean, I'm sure some of you guys, I don't know if you guys have been involved in law, you must have seen cases, right? You can go to court for some BS, right? And found not guilty. The fact that the court didn't even take this into consideration, the fact that they didn't even go ahead to trial, should be enough to tell you that there's something wrong with the evidence. Or there's not a lot, either there is no evidence, or the evidence is fishy, or maybe the woman isn't a credible victim, credible witness, she can't be trusted. Maybe, right? Now, what you need to know is that there is CCTV footage, right, that shows the woman, the victim, kissing Conor McGregor and his friend and partying with them hours after the time that she recalls the alleged assault, right? So that's that, right? Secondly, and this kind of ties back to the headlines in the BBC article that I showed you, right? And you'll notice that just now I used the word assault and not rape. Well, that's because this isn't actually a rape case. Okay, if you look at the details of this case, the BBC say rape, but this isn't actually a rape case. This is a sexual assault case, right? So let's just pause it there. Let's just say he was guilty of sexual assault, right? Which the criminal court obviously don't think he is, but the civil court, which you don't need that much evidence, right? Because it's just financial. There's you pay a fine, you pay the victim whatever they want, but let's just say it was true. That doesn't make him a rapist. I mean, rape is rape. Sexual, like the actual, like the alleged crime incident. I guess it's not crime because it's not criminal, right? But it's some sort of assault. Is that groping? What is that? But it's not rape. Like, we know what rape is. This is not, like, there was no talk of actual rape, right? So the BBC are already lying about the case. Which, and if you didn't look at those details, you would assume, like, okay, sexual assault bad, but you see the word rape, and what does it do? It triggers you. It triggers that disgust. It triggers that hatred, and suddenly he is this evil guy, right? Because it's probably it's the worst name that you could use to label someone, right? Rapist. Now, let's talk about the other evidence. Again, this is all part of the case. This isn't me on some rogue investigation journalist shit. This is just evidence from the case, right? This is fact. Everything I'm saying to you is fact, right? There was a couple in the bedroom next door in that hotel room who testified against the woman's account, saying that everything happened was consensual. There was no sign of any assault. The woman was there having a good time partying before and after the alleged time of this alleged incident, right? Which refers back to what Conor McGregor's talking about, okay? when he says that all the witnesses there swore under oath, which the people next door did. Now, someone else made a testament in court, right? He testified about her being all over Conor and kissing and cuddling him after the alleged assault, right? Now, the woman then accused that guy, so the guy who testified, saying, no, Conor didn't do anything wrong. This woman then, right, tried to accuse him of sexual assaulting her. But then the court had to throw that out because she couldn't recall when this happened. She couldn't give an accurate time of who he was or anything like that. So that's two things, Matt, now that you want to be taken into consideration, right? So guy testifies saying, no, I was there, I saw it all, Conor didn't do anything. And then the woman says, well, actually, he assaulted me too. And then the civil court, so the criminal court having none of it, then the civil court even say, okay, well, that's not true. There's no case there. No, throw that out the window. So then now we know that she's already lied in the same case. She's lied about one guy. But what we're supposed to believe her when it comes to Conor McGregor? Now, just if you simply look at it from a logical perspective, it would seem like, from the outside looking in, before you see any of this madness, any of this evidence, any headlines, anything, you just hear about it. Your initial reaction would be, well, why would Conor McGregor, well, the guy who could probably get any girl he wants, basically, why would he rape this woman? Or sexually assault this woman? Now, if you see a picture of her, she is not a pretty woman. So there's that. But you look at it from a logical perspective. It just doesn't seem right. Why? What, in a public Conor McGregor, right? Conor McGregor in a hotel, all eyes on him. If everyone knows that Conor McGregor's in this hotel, right? Like every time he walks around, cameras everywhere. Well, so he takes you to a public hotel, parties with you in front of loads of people, and then rapes you? Doesn't make sense. And everyone there says it didn't happen. And the criminal court said there's no case here. Okay. Now, her friend also testified against her in court. This was her friend. She was also a work colleague of her, saying that the woman is lying and Conor did not do anything. Right? Again, so just to run through, we've got CCTV footage proving, right, that she was with Conor after the alleged assault, partying, kissing him and his friend, right? Then we've got the people in the room next door testifying saying that's not true. Then we've got another guy testifying saying that's not true, and then she also accuses him of sexual assault. Then it turns out that that's not true. So lying, two witnesses, and CCTV footage. And then you've got her friend testifying against. This is her friend, not Conor's friend. Her friend testifying. Not to mention the fact that, what? Okay, she wins the case, then what? She gets what, 200k? Is that the price for assault now? 200k. Right? I mean, if you would think, right? And maybe men could be raped too or assaulted, right? If it was me and I was going down a legal route, then if the criminal court didn't take it and I knew this guy was guilty, well, then I would just come back with more and more evidence, right? You would build up a case, surely. You wouldn't just say, oh, well, he can give me 200 grand, which isn't a lot of money to him, and get away scot-free. And what, 200 grand, what does that even buy you? Okay, so this was in Dublin. What's a house in Ireland cost? Or even if it doesn't matter where in the world, 200 grand, what does that buy you? It doesn't even buy you a house. So what, that's worth him getting away with this? If this guy's this big bad sexual predator, then what, 200 grand is enough that's enough of a punishment to a billionaire? Or basically hundreds of millions of dollars at his disposal in what, 200k? To put that into perspective, that's like you having 100 grand and giving someone 20 quid. That's no skin off his back. Now, it's the principle that he shouldn't. He obviously, I'm sure he doesn't want to pay that, and I don't think he should, based on the evidence. But if he really was this bad guy, well, then why would you be okay with 200K and him out there to potentially do that to more victims? Right? Furthermore, why is it only now that, and again, I'm just going to say it, Conor McGregor has been talking loud politically, right wing, going against the Irish government, saying that he has political aspirations. He might run for president one day. When you start talking like that, then what? So 6 years ago, then he's a predator? Now, I don't know how long the court case was going on for, but why is it only now that the case has sped up and they found him guilty? You know, why is it now that the BBC is slandering his name? Maybe because he's spoken out against them? Maybe because he's spoken out against the left-leaning government? I don't know. Again, I'm just throwing facts at them. These are facts. Everything I've said so far is a fact. Make up your own decision. But I think if you're a man, right, or a woman who has a son, I think you want to be thinking about the fact that this could happen to him, right? No criminal court will touch this case because there's no evidence whatsoever. There's no case. You can go to a civil court case, they take 200 grand off him and slander him a rapist in the paper when it wasn't even a rape case. Does that not bother you? And if you're an actual victim, does that not bother you even more? You got women like this just saying these things, especially when it comes to rich, powerful, famous men. Trump, Russell Brand, Johnny Depp, now Conor McGregor. In fact, I did an episode about young Philly. Same thing. Didn't look right. The case doesn't look right. And what do? The papers, and this is the news, it's the news that are really the bad guys, because the news just slander them. Rapists straight away, right? Especially the BBC, honestly. It's a joke, right? It is a fucking joke. But it is what it is. We'll see what's going on. Hopefully, right? Hopefully, he can get his justice, you know? I hope he does. I think he will, right? He obviously has good lawyers. He's a fighter. He's not gonna he's obviously an actual fighter, but mentally he's tough. He's resilient, and he won't fall down like this. He won't let this be the fucking end of him, which is something to be admiring. But if look, gun to my head, someone says, did Conor McGregor assault that woman? I say fucking no way. No fucking way. And I think most people would too. And I think that when you have a case where it's a really awful crime, by the way, that's an awful, sexual assault is so serious and disgusting. And when you're going to just label a guy that sort of thing, you don't care about if he goes to prison, but you just want to label him a fucking rapist or a sexual predator and just take some money off him, and the victim's happy with that, that's when I say no, that's fucking suspicious. I mean, surely if it was true, you'd want them fucking dead. You'd want them in life behind bars. What, 200K and that's cool? Yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next story. So, like I said, right, the petition in the UK, people are fucking fed up, right? Now, when I saw this petition, I thought it was, I think when I signed it, it was at like 200K, and I thought it was a joke, to be fair. I thought, oh, really? Someone put this together? 2,637,115 signatures, right? Another, just as I said that, another 15 signatures added on. When you're looking at this, yeah, it is just going up and up and up. Again, another 24 signatures. Thousands of people have signed this since we started recording this video 20 minutes ago. Honestly, people are not fucking happy. Now, do I think the government will? Do I think Keir Starmer and the Labour Party are going to actually do anything about it? Probably not. But that being said, there's roughly 69 million people in this country. So The fact that 2.6 million, by the end of the day, it'll probably be 3 million. The fact that that many people have said it, have signed this, to me, like another 30 signatures since I've just said that. The fact that you've got millions of people signing this, if they don't acknowledge it, I mean, they've acknowledged it, but they said that's not how it works, right? If they don't actually go ahead and say, okay, we'll have another general election, then I don't know. Is that dictatorship in a way? At what point is it? If you have at what point, right, does it become, well, you know, they're just not getting out? I don't know. It's a democracy, right? Now, the reason I think this petition is become so popular, and the reason that the hatred for the Labour government has just skyrocketed in the last couple of months is not because of the bad policies they've done, right? Because let's be real, they've been really bad. They've been fucking bad. Okay, I've said that before. Their stance and positions, the shit they're doing with the farmers right now. If you saw the episode I did a couple of days ago, you know it's bad. But the biggest thing for me, right, is that I don't think the Labour Party were anywhere near as popular as people think, right? Now, I think that the UK, especially in the last couple of years, and seeing how the government's handled Ukraine, COVID, you know, the economy, the benefit situation, the state of London, the crime, the terrorist attacks that we're getting from immigrants coming in, right? Obviously, immigration's a huge issue. I think the majority of people in this country are actually right-leaning, or centre-right at the least, right? I think the Labour Party are too left-wing, and I think I'm sorry, I'm just watching this fucking go up. There's so many they are signing this fucking, honestly, it's a joke. They are signing this so much. The rate that they're signing this, it's going up, up and up and up and up. 100 more people since I've just been talking, right? Anyway, I think what happened, right, was, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, especially if we do get a call for a general election now. It could be one of the best things that could have happened, right? But Nigel Farage came through, and I respect Nigel, and I like Nigel, and I vote for Nigel 100%. At least right now, he's the guy I'd vote for 1,000,000%. But Nigel Farage came through with Reform UK, right? And what he did, and I don't blame him, right? Because he needed to get himself in there. He needed to get himself back in Parliament, right? But he came through and took half of the majority. He took the Conservatives' vote, essentially, right? The more right-wing people who vote Conservative, right? In fact, most of the Tories in general, I think, the Tory voters voted for Nigel, right? And I think that that's what just gave Labour the win, right? Because what you had, right? Usually what you'd have Labour, Conservatives, right? The Tories going fucking head to head, right? It's them two. Slim margins, kind of, depending on, you know, how many people vote or whatever. But then you got Nigel coming along with Reform UK, which I support, right? But a load of he was never going to take Labour voters. That's what you have to understand. Nigel was never going to take Labour voters. But what he did do was take the Conservative vote. So then what you had was all the Tories going to join Reform, and then you had the loyal to the party Tories, and who, you know, aren't as right-wing as maybe Nigel is, or maybe they believe all the propaganda by the media saying that he's racist and you know, Islamophobic and all of that sort of stuff, right? So what you had was all the people who basically think the same. All the people who were anti-Labour were divided into two different parties. Labour, clean sweep, not even close, dominated. And that's what you're seeing now. Like, that's how you see them in power now. But I think what you're seeing now is, and by the way, at the time I did say when, you know, people that I associate with first started talking about Nigel Farage and Reform UK, I said that this is probably going to be a big issue, right? Because people aren't understanding, right, what you do, you have to communicate. Right? People aren't understanding that you need to communicate as a party. Everyone who thinks basically the same way, who was, torn between the Conservatives and the Reform UK, there had to be some communication. It had to be, okay, who are we voting for, guys? Right? Because if some of us are going to go to Nigel and you guys are going to stay here, well, then we all lose. Right? And I think now what you're seeing, it looks like Nigel's going to come through. If there was a general election today, I think Reform UK could definitely win it, right? But I think that there's something, that togetherness is coming, and it was missing before. And I think that now that Reform UK got the amount of support that it got in the election a few months ago, and then you sort of couple that with the fact that Nigel's been, big on social media, he's been outspoken. People are saying that he's not some crazy right-wing guy, sorry. And also, you're seeing that he's proven right, because what did you have? You have fucking terrorist attacks, 3 little girls getting killed. And the guy had an Al-Qaeda manual. He's right. And then they're seeing what's happening in London. They're hearing the nonsense from the left-wing government. You're hearing Sadiq Khan in London talking about, it's not safe because he's Muslim and it's Islamophobic, and then also so he's a Muslim who also supports gay pride, which makes no sense, right? It's bonkers, and the country is seeing that. And then you throw in the farmer stuff recently. Then you also throw in the the support for Ukraine. That, by the way, and the Conservatives were guilty of this too, right? But Labour Party are now fucking sending potentially. They're potentially get us into World War III because they are sending UK missiles to Ukraine to fire into Russia. That's not what people want. Then they fucking, you see with the budget come out, everyone's getting killed a little bit. So it is what it. People don't like it and they're not happy anymore, and I don't blame them. So listen, we'll see what's going to happen with that. But I think if by some miracle, and by the way, I'm 80% sure this won't happen. 80-20 won't happen. Right? But if by some miracle, Keir Starmer and the Labour Party do call a general election and go along with the will of the people, which if they were good politicians who actually cared about this country, they would. I think that there has to be some communication. There has to be active communication in public. Everyone forget about the party, right? You have to put aside your love for, if you're a Tory, forget them. If you love Nigel Farage, forget him too. Everyone just needs to talk and say, all right, who are we fucking voting for, right? Who are we voting for? And bring your best argument. And if you think, if you support, and this is actually for the people who support Nigel Farage. We are probably going to have to be more flexible this time round. Okay, if we think that these Tory guys are too central in terms of left and right, they're too in the centre, and they're not going to vote for Reform UK, then we can't vote for Nigel this time. Okay, the priority has to be getting Labour out. Do you understand? And at least then, because Nigel's an MP anyway. So if you get the Tories back in control, right, then Nigel can double down, and we still got time to get him in 5 years or whatever. I just think that now it has to be about getting Labour out, and there has to be communication. There has to be. There's a word in politics, one of the most important words in politics, right? And people don't talk about it. The C word, and that is compromise. There has to be some compromisation. Has to be a compromise. Okay, if you're, for example, and I'm guilty of it too. I don't like to compromise sometimes, but you have to. If you're more right wing than me, or like me. By the way, not right wing thugs like the fucking left call us, right? But just you're right wing, right? Nothing wrong with that. Be proud of it. But you might have to, accept and compromise that maybe there's going to be some money sent to Ukraine for a bit, you know, and hope that Trump sorts the war out so then we don't have to keep sending money. You know, but there's things that you have to compromise on. That's all I can say right now. But listen, guys, thank you for watching the show. I really appreciate it. A couple things I need you to do for me. If you liked this show, there's a couple things you must do. Must do. Non-negotiable. If you don't do it, don't watch the show. Okay? So, what I need you to do, I need you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching this on Rumble, subscribe. Okay? And then I need you to go to Instagram. You need to go on your phone, get up Instagram, type in my name, James Tayoro. Okay, I only have one account of me, my personal account. It should be in the description here anyway. Go on that, right? Like that, follow it, share it with your friends. And then if you go also on Instagram and type in tayoro.clips, then you're going to see a clips channel and keep that going. Right? Subscribe to that, share it to your friends. If you like it, if you agree with it, share it. Right? And then also, go on my Instagram, got the Telegram group. Go on Telegram. Right? If you've got the balls, go on my Telegram and join my syndicate group. Now, it's not going to be for everyone, but I think if you like this content, you're probably going to like that too. All right? And finally, go on TikTok, type my name in, James Tayoro, and fucking follow my TikTok. Share that around. And the reason I'm asking you to do this, right, is because, and like I say, but always, I don't mind, I do these videos because I like to. I like doing them, but I want people to see it. Right? So if you want the message to get out, maybe some people are going to be, as you could say, converted into thinking the way we do. Maybe not. Right? But the more we share it about, the more people are going to see it, the more I can expand. I can get some better cameras and shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I can invest into the show and I can give more show. If I start making good money from this, I can give shows every single day. Fuck it, I'll do 2 shows. I'll live stream forever. Right? But it has to be worth it to a degree. Now, it is worth it because I get a joy from doing this, and it's something I like doing. I always wanted to do this, but need a bit of support. And if you like the show, it doesn't cost anything to support. So, get it done. Thank you very much. I will see you next time. Thank you very much.